After seemingly forever, the USS Post Show is docking through a wormhole. Whatever. It's season 4, episode 13 of Star Trek Discovery. This one's called Coming Home. We're talking about it right now after the jump.
This episode of Commander's Log is brought to you by Geek Renaissance. Need that special gift for the nerd in your life? Love supporting small business? Look no further than Geek Renaissance. The artist Sephra makes all items by hand and will boldly go to the final frontier for your unique gift. Head over to geekrenaissance.company.site and use the code FLOBITO, that's FLOBITO, to get 10% off your order. Don't forget to follow, like, and share Geek Renaissance on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Look alive, Captain, on the bridge. What's going on, Cap?
Sorry, I was closing my windows over here.
Like windows or tabs or actual windows?
Well, I had to close a tab because I usually leave Facebook going, but my friends are all in my DMs. Boing, 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 boing. You know, very popular. The old
Captain. You are. The old Captain, CEO, owner, founder, guy who found whoever in that thingy. In fact, season 2 of Picard is getting the recap treatment. I heard it's called Picarder. What?
Well, we're calling it Picarder on the show, and friends of Commander's Log will recognize my panelists. We've got Chris Pitcher. I think he was on maybe once. We got Leo Genesek. He was on a few times. And our old friend, a man I met through you. So one of the many gifts you have given me through life is my friendship with Joe Townsell.
Mean Joe Townsell. I'm kidding. He's not mean at all. If you know him, he's a big sweetheart.
He is one of the nicest guys. Our panel is raring to go. So we'll be talking about episode 3 of Picard season 2, which is called Assimilation. Just watched it and it is hot.
Oh, wow.
But I wouldn't say it was as hot as this season of Star Trek Discovery.
Oh, well, look at
that's one of the hottest Trek shows I've seen in a while, man.
Well, let's get into it. But yes, well, Weber Internet Thingy presents the Picard recap show happening about an hour from now if you're watching this live, or about 5 p.m. Pacific, wherever you are, if you get this on delay.
8 p.m. on the East Coast.
Yeah, we'll talk about them anymore. They suck. No, I'm just kidding. I'm Brooklyn. I'm all Brooklyn. All right. Season 4, episode 13, Coming Home, directed by Olatunde Onasasame, who's in a lot of episodes here. It's called Coming Home. Thankfully, it wasn't a Voyager situation. Let me ask you up top there, Captain. Thoughts about the season? Thoughts about the episode?
You know, they were swinging for the fences. Joe Townsell.
Mean Joe Townsell.
Starfleet officers are too kind. That's what Joe says. I'm assuming he was singing it when he wrote it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He does show tunes very well.
You know, the nice thing about season 4 is they gave us what they're so good at, which is kind of blowing the doors out of the sci-fi, pushing the sci-fi further and further down from where your expectations are, which is great. And a lot of emotion and a lot of heart. There was a lot of time in this episode dedicated to that. And that's nice. That's a Discovery thing. I really dug that.
Well, as someone who's been a hater all season, you said you liked this episode.
Well,
I get. We'll talk to you about that.
I'm a hater, but only on plot. And it actually turned out better than I thought it was going to. So
good sign.
Yeah. As mad as I was last week, because if you weren't with us last week,
you missed a good one.
When they make first contact with species 10C, I'm just sitting there going, this is the movie Arrival. This is the movie Arrival. And that's just like Arrival. This is like Arrival. All those things are like Arrival. Oh, no. and Arrival wasn't even the first movie like that, as I pointed out. Contact, the Jodie Foster movie. It was a lot like that in ways, too. So they brought it home to me. Coming home, yes. We came home. They brought me back to my love for Discovery.
Before we get into the plot, Species 10C was something we had a lot of theories about. I was on Team V'ger for a while. I thought it was man-made. I'm not sure if that really counts. I guess it is kind of thing-made. It wasn't a natural occurrence in that case. But Thoughts about this? This really wasn't the villain here. I mean, it was the big neutral. Thoughts about having an alien race be the cause of most of the conflict, but not actually being the bad guys when it comes to be the end of it. Thoughts about that dynamic this season?
You know, there's a movie called The Mothman Prophecies. I think everybody should see this movie. I love the subject. I pretty much like the movie. I don't love it, but it's a good movie. There's a part in the movie where they're trying to figure out who and what Mothman is, and this guy who's talking to our hero says, "I think it's something beyond our understanding, and it noticed us." And that's when you encounter it, you notice it. And our hero says, "What is it trying to say?" And the guy's like, "It's not trying to say anything." And the guy's like, "Is it trying to give us warnings? Is it trying to give us prophecies from the future?" The guy's like,
right.
"If you were about to step on an ant, would you warn the ant?"
I kind of do. Look alive.
And that's, well, I mean, that actually figures into this episode. That actually is part of the end of this episode, is that understanding of like, well, I don't want to hurt an ant, but I don't think about the ant. Every step I take, I'm not watching out for ants. And so when we meet species 10C, what we meet is an alien on a scale, on this huge scale that is causing trouble for us that they don't even realize it.
Yeah. It is kind of surreal. I think Craig Robson, who's usually in our chat, was talking about the dynamic of the mid-credit sequence aliens, the movie Men in Black, where they basically our entire Milky Way galaxy was a marble. I was like, that's what I kind of felt like. Is that a new reference for the show? Yes, doesn't usually happen on the show. But that's a dang good reference. But yeah,
you, Craig.
Thank you, Craig. It definitely was interesting, and I like the fact it was a scientific reason.
Yeah.
Whether or not you're a fan of the hydrocarbons or the translate or the fact that they somehow that Saru is translating without making any typos, which is not even possible. I like the fact that it was something sciencey, not like a kid screaming because his mom was gone. I thought that was a step in the right direction.
Oh, there you are throwing an elbow to season 3, but also patting on the head season 4.
That's like an elbow drop. I hated that season. I was like, look, you find your long-term Shrek fans and what in the future for you, and you're still. I was going off. It wasn't pretty, but I liked the season. I liked it all. I think it ended it pretty well. Gave me a lot of hope, a lot of good things. If you're right there in the chat, let us know your favorite parts of the season as a whole as we get to the nitty-gritty of episode 13. What up, Leo Genesec? You know what, Leo? I was talking about this on Sunday, and it's been a long time since I had a Leo Genesec haiku. I feel like you've been holding out on me, Leo. What's going on? Haiku me, brother.
If you are friends with Leo Genesec on Facebook, you get those haikus every day. You get the D&D haiku. You also get the Star Trek haiku. However, Leo, it's at Trek Haiku on Twitter, right? Is that where everybody can find your haikus?
No one knows you can go. No one knows.
He'll let us know. He'll let us know.
All right, so the DMA is approaching Earth or the Alpha Quadrant because Navarre is actually in Pathway too.
Way
and this
too close.
It's getting way too close. We get that debris. We got floating things happening, and there's this whole idea of, well, we could try to evacuate people, but the amount of people we can evacuate, it's like,
yeah. We're getting hundreds of thousands
and
off each planet, I believe.
On Earth, yeah.
Oy, that's not much.
So the question becomes there, even though this is the future, and we saw Quay John go down, did you really feel the Earth was in danger? Like, were you prepared for a post-Earth life in the future?
Never.
We haven't seen this Earth.
This is Star Trek. They're never gonna lose Earth. I mean,
why not?
They could throw somebody in the future where there is no Earth, or they could throw somebody in the past where Earth is just a wild planet, but they would never hurt Earth. I don't think they would ever hurt Vulcan either. And maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. I mean, so you try to tell me that Quay John was a red shirt planet this entire time? It was just made to be destroyed?
Quay John was a recent addition to the canon. That means you're on the bubble. You don't know. You might get thrown.
Leah responds with a haiku, wearing of the red, it's St. Patrick's Day. Aaron, make it so. That's St. Patrick Stewart's Day. I can read him at public school. Aaron make it sound like Aaron the Go. I got it. That's an Irish thing. I got it. Aaron Go Bra. Right. I totally butchered that. This is
If
why I
you're
shouldn't read your
watching this
haiku.
later, apologies and hooray for Irish.
Yeah. It's the day where everyone pretends to be Irish. And it's funny because if you guys remember life before the pandemic, this is the third St. Patrick's Day with COVID. The third.
It is, isn't it? Oh
So
my gosh,
real.
it is.
So real. All right. So let's get to the end of the Earth stuff first, because a lot of things happen with the species. Hence, I really want your opinion on. But at the end, spoiler alert, Earth is saved because John called it. There's no way they're going to blow up the planet. The crew actually meets the president of Earth, and I want your opinion on the president of Earth and her temperament and her diplomacy and all that jazz.
Okay, so should I just ruin it for everybody who hasn't seen it? I guess.
By now, yeah. While we watch the recap show, if you haven't seen the episode.
The president of the Earth is Stacey Abrams. Stacey Abrams shows up and plays this role.
Okay.
I gotta say, I'm an old hippie. I think everybody should love everybody. I think everybody should be treated equal. I think everybody's rights should be equal. I'm a classic hippie like that. So I see President of the Earth, Stacey Abrams, and I'm like, yup. I would have voted.
I don't think there was much of a vote. Joe Tansel said, I made a bold, inaccurate prediction that Navarre would bite the dust in the storyline. So glad I was wrong. See, whole planets were gone in Tansell's wake. And
that is a great threat. And because we lost Quajon, it makes sense that we would lose other planets. So I do have to say, I don't know if I was scared. I was nervous.
Yeah. Well, the reason why I bring up the Earth stuff, and this is why I liked about the return to science here, at least to why I was saying. At first, I was like, and again, forgive me, I'm going with somewhere with this, all right? I was like, wait, the president of Earth is black too? Like, why is everyone black? Because not so much that it's not supposed to be possible, but it was like, what's going on? And then it hit me, because when it pulls out, they show the Earth what would happen after 1,000 years of it on this wobbly axis, and you saw the continent of Africa be the most predominant continent there. And I'm like, the detail in trying to put that down and say, yes, 1,000 years probably think the Earth would be is amazing. And I was like, wow, that was pretty cool, man. I thought it was pretty awesome.
That is. I mean, look, we all have melanin in our skin, and my ancestors were in a very cold northern part, and Flobo, your ancestors were in the southern hemisphere, and that melanin was kicking in to save your skin. And frankly, I wish I had a little more of it, because that sun is hot out there. It's a different sun from when I was a kid. And you're right, man. The Earth changes, the axis changes, things change. I also love just the pure resilience of Earth is embodied by a diversity of people. And, and then there's something kind of nice about, I really shouldn't use the phrase black girl magic, right? That's just not.
I mean, it exists. I mean, why not?
It exists. And that's the thing. I'm saying it exists. And you can see it on so many levels. The general, oh man, what a story she had.
Mm-hmm.
And now her boss, she doesn't answer to just anybody. She answers to Stacey Abrams.
Yeah.
I also love the actors. You can see the actors talking to her, and their eyes are on fire. They're just so lit up, like, oh my God, I'm meeting Stacey Abrams, and she's the president, and I dig her.
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't say Stacey Abrams is a great actor necessarily, but man, she was wearing the hell out of those boots. Those heels?
Intergalactic Fast Report with John.
That lady can wear some boots, man.
Who are you wearing? And I want a copy of that. Okay.
Never said I was 100% straight. Never said.
Is this less listen to the show? I don't know. So I didn't mean that. All right. So okay, we'll talk about Nadoya. Let's talk about the Book of Tarka thing, because for a while there's this wayward ship. I thought Tarka would be unstoppable, looking for the presto change-o button. There's your 21st century anachronism there. But somehow Booker escapes and basically reboots Tarka with a punch from hell. But they can't stop the process. And this right here was a ticking time bomb, and it had to be intercepted with Ndoye stepping up in place of Detmer. Now, I know, John, you say it's Star Trek redheads.
Yeah.
But were you a bit disappointed as much as Detmer was she didn't get a chance to volunteer to be a hero this time? Or did you think it had to be Ndoye's moment?
Well, I think it had to be Ndoye's moment. I do, because that's Shakespearean. She made a decision that she thought was the right thing, even though she knew it was the wrong thing in terms of Discovery. Everything going on Discovery, this is a bad decision, but everything going on back at Earth, everything going on with the fact that they were going to stop the DMA. That was the main thing that Tarka and Book were going to do as far as she was concerned. But she did sabotage Discovery, and that crime has been done.
Right.
And she bears it, because she's a general. She's got honor, she bears the punishment. She understands. And she says, if you need me, all of my skills are yours.
Yeah.
And so, they go, look, we're going to need a great pilot who will sacrifice themselves doing this. And Detmer's like, boom, stands up. And Owo, man, the waterworks started for me. Owo's just like watching her best friend like get ready to sacrifice herself, and she's like tearing up, and I'm tearing up, and that was some heart right there, man.
Oh, absolutely, man. I don't want to admit it here, but there was a chance. There was a little bit of misting happening in this episode. I don't want to disclose when, because I never cry at things ever. I don't want to be. But when Book reappeared, I was like, oh, all right.
Look, did you feel that was properly set up? Did you think that maybe that could happen, or when it did happen, you weren't disappointed? How did you feel about that?
So let's set this up. So there's a point where Booker tries to get transported off of the ship because Tarka totally did not lose her. He's dead. And they thought he was gone because I had Star Trek the motion picture flashbacks, right? Where it was like, he was coming and then he wasn't. I was like, well, that seems plausible. I knew something was up because even though it was happening, there really wasn't a mourning scene kind of a thing. It was like Burnham was kind of sad. Everyone was like, all right, whatever. Tennessee.
There was the like news of his death
scene,
but there wasn't like a funeral or anything.
And it wasn't that science fiction like pull back, flying leather jacket in space. There was like nothing of that. So I felt it was coming back. But having Tennessee say, we knew it was important, but we intercepted it. To me, was this? I mean, it made sense because they're so smart, but to me, that was crossing the line. Because even though they are a superior species, you can't tell me you know everything, right? Yeah. I don't know how to make a pierogi, but people have been making pierogies for thousands of years, right? I just can't intercept a pierogi and be like, oh, I got this. But to me, I was like, oh, really? Okay, fine.
Anybody want a pierogi? Where did that pierogi come from?
I knew it was important.
I knew you liked pierogies, so I just pulled out a recipe and made one.
So I'm glad he was alive. I was like, wait a minute.
Look, I can argue for it till the cows come home, but I don't have any science to back it up. All I can say is Tarka made sure that Book was beamed out. Book never got to the ship because the connection from from Book's ship that Tarka had taken control of, that was not able to send it to Discovery. So that message, basically that signal, that transporter signal was out there. And I guess we're supposed to assume that Species 10C like put it in a bottle, I don't know, put it in Tupperware. They were holding on to it.
For how long?
Quite a while. I mean, a few hours at least at that point.
I guess.
I mean, look, if a ship in front of you is sinking in the water and there's a bottle with a message in it and you can't save the ship, but you can go pick up that bottle with the message in it, that's what I think it is. Message in a bottle. It's Book.
Is it a cop-out that Book's alive? Despite the fact he has to pay for his own penance, but the fact he's alive, is that a cop-out?
I did argue with myself on that because I am.
Who won?
Who won was all of us who believe in true love. I mean, look, Burnham and Book love each other. That great little scene where Jet Reno finally gets herself from Book's ship, the hijack ship, back to Discovery, and she goes right up to the Burnham and says, "He loves you. That guy loves you." And he says, "Do whatever you have to do."
Yeah.
And that was another moment of like, man, this is Reno's season. This was such a great set of scenes and stories from her. God, I just love it. I hope they use her more.
Leo Genesix disagrees with you. He says, I love the character, but it was a cop out. Ooh, snap.
I can hear that. I hear that. I hear what you're saying. I didn't want to lose Book, even though I kind of thought, well, look, she's got to, through this series, she probably has to have a series of boyfriends.
Maybe, but this to me, season 4 kind of feels like end of chapter 2. Like the first 2 seasons was one thing into the future. I'm not to say I'd be happy to kill him off. I'm glad he's back, I guess, because you could tell Burnham loves him more than Ash, right?
Yeah.
But like if he would have died, I'd have been like, okay, that'd be a good ending to this chapter in space. Or what have you.
mean, I could have lived with it too, but I also believe you don't just kill off characters, especially characters that are very, very meaningful. Yeah, I'll allow it. As a fan, I'll allow it. Each fan has their own ability to allow or disallow. Are you allowing it, Flobo?
I'm allowing it because the thing that doesn't disgust me is this whole Tarina Saru thing got me looking up Pon Far article at 2:00 in the morning. Ugh. John,
Man, I don't want to see your cookies. Holy cow. I'm sorry.
Well, oh no, I'm just looking at like watch list now. We got the handhold. So will they, won't they? Of course, you can't really kiss, right? So they have the handhold. I guess my thoughts are your thoughts. My appendages are your appendages. Are you on board now? It's official.
It's weird. It is so weird, this relationship, because it's nothing. I mean, I'm just going to say it. It's nothing that anyone physically wanted to happen. It's not like
you did.
Well, look, I think it's cute. I love cute, chaste relationships. Those to me are adorable and precious. So I like that. The hand holding is the big sex scene. That's good.
TVMA. Leo said earlier about the whole book thing. Me too, but it felt as though there was no cost to the victory. Now, a long, long time ago, when I was a film scholar, my editing professor, Professor Cedar, if he edited this film called White Man Can't Jump in the 90s. It was a Rod Shelton film.
Good
and
he's man.
Yeah, it was, man. He's like, well, a bunch of white people made a basketball movie. Anyway, it's his quote, not mine. It'd be kind of weird if I did my quote for him. He said that what makes that movie great is that you can win the game, but you can't win the girl and the game because there's no stakes. And I think that's exactly what happened here. I think that's why we're questioning it. At least Leo and I are. Joe Tansel says, have to say, my favorite part of the season was the finale! ! Usually nonplussed. He's an author, by the way. I had no doubt the book was dead and was thrilled when he came back. The last act of the episode was pure Trek. Yeah. Let me ask you this there, John. What does pure Trek mean to you? And was this episode that?
I totally agree that it was pure Trek, because what we get is the alienness. I mean, first off, Species 10C is not a species of individuals. They are basically one mind from many. And they're also super intelligent and super advanced as opposed to where we are. Here was my thing. They're like these giant winged heads or something.
Yeah, man.
I'm like, I think they figured out a way for us to meet and befriend dragons.
Oh, I was thinking Portuguese men of war, but that's way cooler.
I mean, they are these gigantic beasts. They have a great ability to understand, which means all the big speeches that were made near the end, which is also very Trek, the very big speeches.
Oh, yeah.
That was great. And I'll say this.
Say it.
Bringing Book back was important because, as he points out, it's not enough for them to say, oh, I'm sorry we were using our giant mining tool that destroys, giant sectors of space.
We'll buy some carbon offsets. It'll be fine. What's the big deal?
They'll just go to uninhabited areas, and Book's like, nope, 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 not good enough. You have to stop doing it altogether. Now, here's my question.
All right.
All right, remember Haz calls him glowworm.
Right.
Is that racist?
No. No, it's not.
Okay.
Cool. They call him light bright. Ooh, no.
Oh, damn! Do not do that. So like his Quajan empath druid powers kick in near the end there, and I'm like, wait, is he manipulating them?
Oh, absolutely not.
Oh, okay.
I said what knocked Tarina on her ass is something that Book can do, and he found a way to find some common ground. At least I thought so. They're kind of like, oh, okay, we back down because we totally get the feeling and pain and stuff. He didn't have to go to Saru towards the end, because even though Saru was good at what he does, even and practically so, I think that Booker's all about the feels, bro.
Yes, that it's more about this spirit and your heart and your emotions and your love. And that's very Trek too. I love that part of it. So it brought me to a really nice place. And I thought they ended it in a really great way in terms of, look, Book is saying it's not enough for you to use this DMA responsibly. You got to stop using it altogether.
I
can
quit what I want.
Advanced. Yeah. And I totally dug that. That to me was ending it way ahead of where I thought they could have ended it. They could have gotten quick, happy ending. But they really had to extend it further into this understanding and this sharing. And Book's basic message is, look, you got to stop trying to get all this boronate from our galaxy. And they're like, well, we need it so that we can put up our giant protective bubble. And he's like, do you really need the bubble, though? The hyperfield.
I mean, that's my baggage, bro. I need 10 feet of space. I need my swipe left function. What are you talking about?
And because they understand how much damage they're doing to our galaxy by using the DMA, they actually stop having a hyperfield. So, very Star Trek, we left a society more advanced than us. We actually left them better than they were.
Did we though?
Yeah.
Because maybe I'm incredibly cynical because I am from New York, y'all. I'm sorry. But no one is born with a hyperfield, right? There had to have been something that made them go, wait a minute, maybe we should have some good defenses up. So some guy rolls the town and goes, hey, bro, don't put locks on your doors, bro. If someone wanted to rob you, they would. That's just not the best logic ever. Why do they have the hyperfields? My question.
Unless I'm getting this wrong, they were on that planet that we saw previously, and then some disastrous thing was going to happen to it, so enough of them escaped that they were able to set up the hyperfield.
Right.
But their home planet was the first one that our people stop at in this galaxy, and they see all the destruction. They see that they lost all of this stuff from their previous home. So, yeah, that's why they needed a hyperfield. Something destroyed their previous home, and then they were like, we got to get away. We got to be safe. But I guess we're assuming that thing isn't around anymore, whatever it was.
Right.
Maybe quiz. Somebody remembers. I don't remember.
Joe Tazzle says, total Kirk move, playing fast with the Prime Directive. You know what? It's funny, Joe, because when I wasn't into Star Trek, and if I'm rambling, please, John, reel me back in.
I love your rambling.
So when I was getting Star, when I was like in like my early 20s, like late teens, early 20s, and I was trying to explain. Star Trek to me. You try it out. Like, nah, I don't really know. It's for nerds and losers. Not the nerds. I'm a nerd and loser myself. They're like, oh, it was really cool because they go to these planets, they explore, but there's the Prime Directive where they can't really involve with the cultures. Like, well, what's the story? Well, you always break it, but when they break it, it's pretty cool and it's like, wait, you have one rule and you find a way to break it every single week? What's the point? And I thought that was the most weirdest thing, but you're absolutely right. The way they do it is why I keep coming back. How will they break the Prime Directive this week?
I mean, look, to put it, and maybe some of the other fans can correct me if I'm wrong, but to put it in historical context, the original series. So TOS, Star Trek TOS, those old scientists, according to Lower Decks, the original.
I call it
series. TOS. They were not heavy on the Prime Directive, but the Next Generation was. And that actually made the Next Generation really great because it created so much conflict of like, well, we need to do the right thing, but if we do it, we're violating our number one rule. So how do we do that and get away with it? Whereas the original series, they were like, these people are dumb. We should make them smart. Hey guys, smarten up. Okay, we're good. 5 to beam up. Yeah, and it's and so that's very TOS of like, we had to tell people across the galaxy that they were stupid.
I like
teach
it.
them lessons.
Speaking of odd things, what popped you harder there, brother? Deanna Nandoya or Bobcat Stamets? Because both of them are like, huh?
Oh boy, that's tough. That is tough because Nandoya sacrificing herself and just like didn't even flinch. You knew she had it in her. I mean, I always knew that there's a reason why this woman's a general. She is a badass.
Mm-hmm.
It was what was funny was they knew that Detmer was one of the best pilots ever. They already know that. So for her to come in and say, "Look, I happen to be a great pilot. You should let me do this." I mean, that was funny that they were like, "Yeah, let's go with the general. Detmer, have a seat."
She's great.
But you know what? She owes it to herself and to us. Let's give it to the general to do. But she delivered.
I popped super hard when Reno called her Bobcat Stamets also. So those are the two names. I was like, huh, Deanna. I didn't think her name was that. And I guess Bobcat kind of fits. He kind of looks like one. Sure.
I mean, he's got big kitty cat eyes. Sure, I could see it. Also love that his partner's like, well, that's an interesting nickname. I kind of like it. I mean, that was
as they go on their couples trip. It's like, don't call me Bobcat. Total sidebar will probably get me canceled. Offers Rosanna hot when she was taken away to prison. Let me ask, speaking of people who are very, very cutie pies, Tilly makes a return this episode, being that Starfleet Academy person, spinoff maybe in the offing, but more importantly, her and Vance get to have a bit of moment with space whiskey. Thoughts about this whole like D plot or watching this plot happen from their perspective?
It's also very Shakespearean to have the scene where there are common people kind of talking about what's going on from their perspective.
Yeah.
Usually, an important person comes in and talks to them and then walks away. But we were cutting to the Admiral and Tilly as they were ready to go down with the ship. Oh man, when the Admiral says abandoned ship, did you get a little pain right in the heart?
Yeah. It reminded me, to your point, like what was the name of that fantasy play that they made us read in high school? The one they based Lion King 1.5 after. What, Rosencrantz is dead? Rosencrantz and Guildenstern is dead?
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's so classic. That is
a
great play.
very Lion King 1.5. If you've ever seen that movie, not 2, it's a different movie altogether. 1.5.
That's
but
funny.
Yeah, did you get any kind of weird vibes? Like, I thought they were gonna do the whole "we're gonna die." You've been drinking? Like, I got weird vibes for a second. I'm glad nothing happened, but you had my wife was away, my family was away. We're drinking whiskey. World's gonna end. No, thank God. I thought it was just me. Okay, good.
Look. Would I want to have one last fling right before I die with Tilly? Yes, I would at least suggest. I mean, I try not to be, Harvey Weinstein about it. I would just be like,
Not your gay side. Not your gay side.
No, that's Harvey Firestein. Good Lord, you don't know the difference between Weinstein and Firestein?
You had a gay side. It was a callback, John. Forget it. I can't work like this.
But I'm not sure Tilly would give me a second thought. So I'd be ready not to be too gross about it. But, look, that little scene of the two of them shows you the loss. It shows you the threat of the loss. We're just about to lose them. Two of the great characters of Discovery. We're just about to lose them. So the stakes are high. They could hardly be higher at that point.
Right. So I have S4E13, who Black Lives Matter in more ways than one this week in Discovery. Not to make it all lives matter, but what I like about Discovery is that it is a big deal until it's not a deal anymore, which is pretty cool. I want to get your opinion on this one on the way out, as far as, like, to me, the hardest decision I had to make, and that was the warping out versus being left decades away from home base.
Right.
Because for a second there, I was like, oh, are we doing Voyager season 5? Are we doing Star Trek Voyager season 5? But thankfully, they got the DS9 Wormhole Express back home. Thoughts about that? Was that too much of a cop out there? Would you want to see them in the future come back home, or that's been done already?
We knew that wormhole existed. They were using it to get their mining equipment into our galaxy. So for them to, what I thought was weird was Saru going, they're opening it up one more time just so we can pass through it. I was like, how do you know that? Who explained that to you?
10C, master the plot.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I appreciate a good Deus Ex Machina just like anybody else, but how do you know these things? I'm having these problems with Picard right now, season 2 right now too.
Right.
How do you know these things? But hey, I'm glad there's some explanation. I'm glad we did, because let's face it, they're in a whole different galaxy. It is really going to get tough to get home. So I appreciated that. We're going to, the title of the series, the title of the episode is Coming Home.
Right.
They got to get home at the end of the episode. That's what they promised.
So again, if it was a Voyager situation, you'd be like, nah, lame, boo.
I would have been so pissed. You're right. I would have been pissed.
Just give them everything.
That's like, dude, that's like Lost in Space. That's like Josie and the Pussycats in outer space. Like that's been used so many times. I hated it when Voyager did it. I don't want to see anyone else do it. Prodigy's kind of doing it, but not exactly, so it's okay. I don't know.
Yeah, Voyager's actually, like, again, we watch on our sister show Starbase 80, part of the Weber Internet thingy. We go through classic Trek, and you try to keep an open mind, but definitely Voyager seems like someone who just lost on a road trip, and then the whole thing's all shortcuts. What kind of cool warp tube if you go down to cut some time off? Hey, it'll kill us all. Who cares? I didn't get home as quick as possible. I was like, damn, Janeway, like, this sucks.
I mean, what's crazy about Star Trek in a macro sense for me is we really, in the original series, the Federation and Starfleet are constantly talked about, and we run into representatives of it. We don't spend a lot of time there visiting headquarters or anything like that. So the fact that we then I remember one of the big complaints about DS9 was how they were off in a corner of the universe that the Federation barely reaches out there. And that's like, oh, bummer. I really like the Federation. I want to see more of that. And then the next series after that is Voyager, where it's like, not only do we have no Federation, we're in a completely different quadrant. And it's like we're broke all the time. We can barely pay the rent. We can barely replicate. We can barely, fuel the ship. We can barely fuel our shields. We get our asses kicked by everybody. All of this austerity, all of this loss, all of this, we're poor now. Ugh, I hate that. And then in Discovery, when they go into the future and they rejoin the Federation, even though the Federation isn't very big, I think it's a big plus. I think it was a big kick in the pants for this series.
Here's my other Men in Black reference. What I liked, even though some of the episodes can drag on, what I like about DS9 is that the idea that space comes to them, much like how the idea of what Men in Black is. It's like the Men in Black headquarters is like a customs or an airport for aliens. I thought it was a cool premise. I wish the animated series does that more. Men in Black does. I wish movies did it more too. Joe Tansel says 2 reinventions of the same series twice in 5 seasons would have been lame for sure. Well, this is what I was talking about, Joe. Like, I feel like there was, I don't know. I'm not in the office. I'm not in the writer's room, but there is, Discovery had, to its name, a lot of things that had to find its own voice, but a way to placiate older fans who've done 1 or 2 major hiatuses, get new fans involved with this new platform that's being launched at the time with CBS All Access. It wasn't even Paramount. So there had a Masters of Serve. So not to say that it would be a bad idea. because it would. I would totally understand a corporation being like, that Voyager thing worked. Let's do that because you own the IP and yada, yada, yada. But
Right,
I'm glad that's not the case. As we wrap this up, man, here's time I got to ask you speculation. Next season is confirmed, season 5. Not sure what the long-term prospects of season 6 or 7 is going to be, but if you had a chance of just predicting the future, things you want to see next season of Discovery.
Well, that's a really, really good question. I think we've done so much external in the last 2 seasons. Way out in the middle of nowhere, we find the explanation of the burn and what happened to all the dilithium. And now, now we've got, yeah. So Leo jumped on it. He interrupts me all the time. But Leo jumped on it. And what I'm thinking is, we might be going internal again in terms of what happens in the Alpha Quadrant, what happens in Federation space. Look, the Federation is bigger now than it has been as everyone's trying to rebuild from recovering from the DMA. And there's a lot of unity, and Stacey Abrams shows up, and now Earth is just boom, Earth's in the Federation. There's no question anymore. I'm kind of digging the fact that the Federation's getting a little stronger. So I want to see a lot of Federation. I want there to be a Federation backbone.
Yeah.
To what we're doing. Not that hasn't happened in this season, but I want to see more internal. I think we've gone way out. Let's go back in. That's my prediction.
Leo Genesis said Klingons. There you go. And Joe Townsend says 2 or 3 smaller story arcs with a common theme. Possibly. Nice. Strange New Worlds, we're being promised to be more episodic, but I doubt it. There's no money being completely episodic, but I think that would be your flavor for it. But for me, the future stuff, chapter 2, as far as I'm concerned, informally, seasons 3, season 4, the future stuff. I am exhausted on Coast Guard. Give me some Navy. Give me some Army. Like, we went to some uncharted waters. We explored the bottom of the sea.
Yeah.
We got the occasional immigrant. I get it. We got pirates in season 3.
Yeah.
Give me planets that are fighting. Give me refugees. Give me safe passage episodes. Give me some classic stuff that way to make sure that what Discovery is doing is also helping the smaller planet. I think that's the Federation is. Everyone believes in this ideal, and it makes sense at a macro level, but why should Joe Smith on Barzon care? I don't know. I don't know why you call it Joe Smith or whatever.
I love it.
So that's for the let's see some Andorians and Klingons in a big way. We are all sons of Takuvma.
I'm all for it, especially the Andorians. I miss me some Andorians, man.
I kind of wonder will be Discovery's, like, if they have a chance to have their big contribution. Well, if they can do their Borg, if they can do their mirror universe, what would be that one? But that'd be kind of cool to have, like, it's a fresh thing that they did. Besides the time travel, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. They've echoed a lot of classic Trek, Terra Prime, Klingons. They've had a lot of classic Trek in the beginning of Discovery. But where's the race? Where's the species? Because come on, we're not going to see species 10C a lot. They're literally in another galaxy on the other side of the giant wall. So there may be some talk about dealing with them, but there's not a lot of direct contact there. So let's see more internal in our galaxy storylines.
Well, just want to thank everyone for tuning in to Commander's Log. This was the recap for Season 4, Episode 13, Coming Home. Special couple announcements before we get out of here in about 15 minutes or so. Captain John and the Starbase 80 Supplemental will be going over Episode 3 of Season 2 of Picard, right here on the Weber Internet thingy. But because we are covering Strange New Worlds, there's a bit of hiatus, quote unquote, in name only. Commander's Log will be still doing hot content for you guys. Next week, we have ourselves a retrospective, a spotlight on Lower Decks. We're covering some of the short trek, some of Star Trek Prodigy, some of the animated series. A lot of good stuff between now and May 5th. Cinco de Mayo, St. Patrick's Day, Cinco de Mayo. So please stick around for Commander's Log. But if you want some Picard recap with Joe Townsend and Leo Genesik and Chris Pitcher, heck, check out that Weber Internet thingy, right? Is that right? Is that right?
Yep, please do. You can find Weber Internet thingy on YouTube or on Facebook.
Before we get out of here one more time, Stress Free K says, at Plus, I want to see 10C teach the Federation some new Type 2 civilization tricks. Well, I want myself my own hydrocarbon light up thingy, and I have it on my uniform. Don't even say a word. Just, all right. About time to get out of here because I have totally made us drop 20 points of IQ talking about haikus and looking for light brights, rainbow brights, and Rose the Krat's dead. All right, y'all. I am out. Commander's Log, part of New Amsterdam Entertainment Network. Learn more at newamsterdam.com. Captain, until next time, say it.
Live long and prosper, babies.